Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Mesa in Arizona. Hope you've had a super fantastic, sparkling Serenity Sunday. I do have to apologize for the abrupt cutoff this morning where I quickly wrapped up and got off, but our neighbor across the way was coming over to say hi to Zeffy because Zeffy had seen him outside, and so he came over to say hi and give her a couple of treats. Um, so I apologize for that kind of abrupt ending to this morning's conversation. But how was your Serenity Sunday? What exciting stuff did you get up to bring yourself into balance? And this is where you find that the balance is your happy spot. It doesn't matter um, if you're, people like to refer to work-life balance. I prefer to not a work-life balance, but a balance within yourself. So, do you have balance within yourself? Which means that you yourself know how much you should work and how much you need to rest. Are you living a are you living to work or working to live? There is a good question for you. Are you working to live or living to work? Now, in fact, I had a really good conversation today with some people over at the dog park when Zeffy was running around, and with the Labrador Spaniel mix, smaller, slightly smaller than Zeffy, but they had a blast, and we're going to go play with them again tonight in the bigger park. Um, but they were asking me, what do I find the biggest differences between the US and New Zealand? And I said, well, the education system to start with. And we talked about some of the stuff that we got taught in New Zealand that doesn't get taught over here, um, and other things. And then when I got back to the RV, I said I didn't talk about my biggest one, which is in the States, everybody here lives to work, whereas the other countries in the world, we're all working to live. Work is not our priority. Our life is our priority. Anybody never gets to the end of their life and says, "Oh, I wish I had put more hours in at work." You never hear somebody say that. They're always sort of like, "I regret that I didn't get to spend enough time with the family." Zippy, come here. She's whining at something. Um, Never get to spend enough time. Usually I never get to spend enough time with people. I wish I had taken the time to even when you're still left alive and when you're a survivor from having a loved one pass, there's always those times that you go through and you think about, oh, I wish I'd spent more time doing XYZ with there's still things that I go through with things with Brad. Oh, I wish I'd spent more time with him talking about whatever it was that we were talking about, getting his thoughts on things. I wish we'd spent more time doing this. I wish we'd spent more time doing that. So even um, even when you have a loved one that passes, you still have those regrets. As a survivor, you have those regrets as well. Um, so finding that balance within yourself, whether you are working to live or living to work, you've got to find that balance for you. What is that balance? And when you work to live, you have so much more time freedom, um, and so many more choices than if you are living to work. Because when you're living to work, your main focus is work, 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 work. Whereas when you're working to live, work is a means to give you a life. Whether it is your own business, setting up a business with residual income, whether it's working 40 hours for somebody else and making their dreams come true, whatever that work is for you. It's being a business owner, being somebody who's doing investments so that you get residual income. It's being self-employed, whatever it is, whatever that work component is for you. It is, what the perfect balance is. Are you doing it so that you can have a life, or are you living in order to work? So you've got to find that balance within you. So that's what Serenity Sunday is all about. It's about finding that balance inside and doing what it is that makes you happy, that makes you relaxed. And if people say that, oh, there are happy places at work, I'm sort of like, to some degree, I can get that because genealogy is such a huge passion of mine. In fact, I even got to do some genealogy today. My parents sent me a news article about about some stuff that had happened in New Zealand, and said, "Is this person mentioned the same person that's this part of the tree?" And so I went and had a look and went back and went, "Yeah." I said, "Well, put it this way: everybody that they mention in the article about this guy and his kids, I have that information in my tree." And here's the obituary that I found for him that mentioned the same people that is in my tree as well as in this article. So, yeah, I already had information in my tree along with the obituary that was in my tree. as part of the information for this guy, and it matched up with everything that was in this newspaper article. So yeah, we could say without a doubt that was very, very, like, 99.9, because it's always that 0.1% that may or may not be there, but it's about 99.9% sure that this guy that was in this article was the same guy that was in our family tree. So yeah, so I got that one solved. So to me, that was not work; it was enjoyment, because um, genealogy has been a huge hobby and passion of mine for basically my entire life. When I look back, when I actually got started in searching for genealogy, that kicked in when I was around 12, 13, wanting to find out more about my family. But prior to that, it was looking through all those old photographs and hearing all the old the stories and everything. So there was the genealogy portion as well as the family history portion of it that I was interested in. So even though I do genealogy as a business, I also enjoy doing it as a hobby and finding out more about, and the hobby side of it comes in when I'm looking at it for my family and doing more research on my side on my family or my husband's family. So that's my downtime. That can be my downtime. It's, to me, it's very relaxing. And then when you get that little, when you find that little thread and you start pulling it, whoo, and all sorts of stuff starts coming out. It's like, oh yes, 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 yes. Um, but then when I'm doing it for somebody else, as I pay, as somebody who is paying me to research their tree, I still have that same enjoyment. The only difference is I'm getting paid to do it, so that's done during work time. And I try to keep office hours so that I am not up at 11 o'clock at night following that little lead. I try to put, and I've got blocks of time scheduled on my calendar for the different work that I'm doing. So I have my genealogy business. Ziffy, come here. So I have my genealogy business. I have a freelance business as well. And I actually picked up another gig for the freelance business today. Even though I wasn't really working, it was a request that came through. So, it took about 10, 15 minutes. It was dealt with, it was done. And now I have another assignment to do. It's going to be a very short assignment, but hey, an assignment is an assignment. So I've got that coming up this week as well. So that got scheduled into my calendar for this coming week. And so I use my calendar to schedule my working hours, the hours that I have working, and that just makes sure I'm not overworking myself, and that I still have my times there for breaks. And I also set office hours. So because genealogy is such a huge passion of mine, I can sit for hours. I still remember, Brad coming in 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning going, "Are you coming to bed?" And I'll look at him and go, "Why? What time is it?" And he'll go, "It's 1, 2, 3, whatever the hours." And I go, "What, really?" And I'm a morning person. I'm the one that would normally go off to bed between 9 and 10 in the evening. I was done. But if I got stuck into genealogy, time ceases to exist in that world. So that's why I have to limit myself when I'm researching for clients and stuff, to making sure that I do it during my working hours. That way it's not completely taking over my life, because it can do that very easily, and I'm missing out on a whole bunch of other stuff. So I did the personal family tree research to solve that mystery. And then I started reading the book, The Man from Belarus. I did have to stop it to come talk with you guys. And as soon as I'm finished here, and it's a book that I so want to get back to it. It's got like 130 something chapters in it, but they're really, really short chapters. The book's only like 300 and something pages. So the chapters are anywhere from one chapter was 2 paragraphs. But there's all these moving pieces. It's really cool how this guy's written the book. It kind of reminds me of a bit of James Patterson style, where he does the little short chapters. But in this book, the author has got, each chapter is jumping to different scenes and different locations with different people, and there are all these moving parts, and there's a common character that seems to be drifting into all of these other pieces, and these pieces are like floating around. And I know that by the end of the book, they would have all slid into place and come together. So and there's the main character who has this puzzle he has to solve, and each chapter is a piece of this moving puzzle, whether he knows it or not. He hasn't met all the players in this puzzle yet, but we're getting a glimpse of all these players in the puzzle. And so these puzzle pieces are floating around out there, and my mind is going like crazy, because I like get to this point in the book and I'm like, oh, I wonder if, and then I start going off on these different tangents of where this piece of the story could fit into the overall picture. And then of course we go into the next chapter, and I'm like, oh, I want to go back to the, and I was like, okay. So switching gears to this character now, and this part of the chapter, I was like, oh, I wonder if, and at the end of each chapter, I'm asking these wonder if questions, and but I know it's all going to come together nicely because this author has such a creative way of writing that to me, he's always held my interest in the book from basically the first page. And there's been this flow throughout the book, and there's just these pieces that are all just moving around and coming in. So the book's called The Man from Belarus by C.G. Cooper. It is book 16 in his series. You can actually get book 1, Back to War, for free. I think actually you can get the first 3 for free. I don't know if you can get the omnibus for 3, but there was a point where you could get book 1, book 2, and book 3 for free. And it's just, and of course it's an overall theme. You kind of do have to read the books before because they do refer back to past characters that come back in, and that sort of thing as well, and things that have happened in other books. So you kind of do have to read from book 1. But his first book, Back to War, I believe was free as a Kindle version, and when I started reading, the first 3 books were for free. And he did have an offer at the beginning there. I don't know if he still has the offer, but if you signed up for his newsletter and stuff, then he would send you a book of your choosing for free out of his books that he's written. So I had read the first book I came across of his was Adrift, which is about one of the main characters that's in the Court Justice series. And the Court Justice series of these 17 books. Actually, this is book 16 because there's 17 books in the series. I've got 16 and 17 to read. So Court Justice is the main series, with the main character being Carl Stokes, and he has his team of people. And another major character within that series is a guy called Daniel Briggs, and he has his own series about his journey from being one of the top snipers in the Marine Corps, his journey through hell after he leaves the Marine Corps, and finding his way to meeting up with Carl Stokes and becoming part of his team. And so his first book's called Adrift, that's in his series. And he goes into some dark, dark places. But he does these spin-off series that gives you the backstories to some of the characters within his book. I can't wait for the next Dr. Higgins book to come out because Dr. Higgins is such an interesting character. He was drafted into the CIA and became one of their top interrogators. And he has techniques that gets just about everybody talking and spilling their guts to him. So verbal stuff, not literally throwing up. He has all these different techniques and things. So the first book in his series was really, really cool. So I'm not sure when the next one's coming out on his, but he is taking some of the characters and either writing a backstory in a novella, or he's creating a series because it's such a complex character. And so he's got this great array of books that all center on the court justice. And then you've got the little side series going on that gives you the backstories to some of these characters and things. And then he has a crossover book, which is of a character called Tom Greer, who goes out and kills people. And you do find out why. He's also a commercial pilot. He used to be in the military. Was he special? Yeah, he was special. Seffi, she's very talkative tonight. He used to be in the special forces as well, and he's now a commercial pilot, and he flies all over the world, and he kills people. But you find out in the book why. You find out the story behind why he does what he does. And I'm not going to spill the beans because you've got to get the book and read it. But anyway, I really, really want to get back to reading The Man from Belarus. But I know I can't do that because I've got to go take puppy for a walk, come back, have dinner, and then, I can read it while I have dinner. So that's going to be good. But then I've got to do the dishes. So I kind of reading it till after dinner so I can get the dishes done, because if I don't, I will sit here at the table, eat my dinner, and keep reading. And I'll wake up and I'll come up a couple of hours later, like to go to the bathroom, or it's getting cold, we've got to put the heater on. And that's when I'm like, oh, I have to do the dishes. But I really want to get back to the book. So anyway, so what fun things did you get to do today to help you find your personal balance in your life? You know what that balance is. There is no such thing as work-life balance, because they kind of tend to blend together at times as well. So, but find, what is your balance? Did you find your balance today? I had a great day of rest and relaxation. I did get a nap before I started reading The Man from Belarus. I did take a nap. Sometimes I tend to get so involved with a book that I tend to drift off. I didn't want that happening, so I took a nap first and then started. But I'm about halfway through the book already, so, and I didn't get it started till around 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago? Yeah, probably around 2. Sometime between 1 and 2 I started the book, and I'm about halfway through already. So very easy reading, very quick reading, lots of twists and turns, and like I said, all these floating pieces that are slowly merging, that are slowly drifting towards each other, where they're all going to come in, because you're starting to see the connections, the little threads of connection are coming to that center point, and you're starting to reel it in. So you've got all those fishing lines out, grabbing those little bits of information and reeling them in where they're going to become the main picture or the completed puzzle by the end of the book. Although he might leave a cliffhanger there, but that's okay because I have the second book ready to go. Anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We are going to go get ready for our walk, and we're going to go walk with our new friends from this morning over to the bigger park where the dogs will have, like, I guess almost 2 to 3 times the amount of, more than 2 times, not quite sure it's 3 times as big as the one that's over here, but they'll have a lot more space to run and wrestle. And I know that a certain puppy's going to need to be brushed out when we get back because these two love to wrestle in the dirt. Anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning for Magic Mondays. He konara.